Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission to make fitness more human, snark sold separately. I'm Coach Amanda, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host.
It's a Coach Nick, and thanks for joining us, everyone. We took a little hiatus last week because Nick had awful amounts of technical issues and we couldn't figure it out, but I have since figured it out. So we're going to roll today with just the two of us, and we're going to talk about a hot topic, which is, has the classic training plan run its course? Are we witnessing the death of rigid structure in favor of real-time adaptability? We're talking about training plans today, and we're talking about flexible training plans and how training plans can be adapted. And I think we're gonna have a good, fun conversation about this. What do you think, Amanda?
I have no choice but to think the same as you. It's held against my will to think this way. I think that whether you are a personal trainer, a run coach, or just a fitness enthusiast, a runner, I think you're going to get something out of this episode because, hey, if you're listening to this and you exercise, you either have hired a professional to help you or you're self-coached, right? Like you fall into one of those buckets, and we might as well pick apart the plan.
Yeah, I think
But
that's good.
before we pick apart the plan, let's pick apart your week, Nick.
Oh my gosh, my 2 weeks, right?
I don't know. We don't need to go into 2 weeks.
No, I'll just recap
1 week.
the 1 week
will suffice. Yeah.
The kids are back in school, so that's fun. It's been new and exciting. Not really. It's
horrible.
It's third and first grade, and we're doing it. Still always shocked by how little homework the kids get before second grade. So Amelia has no homework ever. That's fine. I don't know. Maybe I felt like when I was a kid, all we did was homework, but I also don't remember when I was 6. So I could be misremembering. Mom, if you're listening, you feel free to correct me. And then I ran a race. It's called the Charles 12 Miler. It's here local to Baltimore. You drive 12 miles from downtown and you run on a street basically the whole way down. Which is
I like 12 miles.
Yeah, it's a fun distance. Usually it's a guaranteed PR because you don't really run 12 miles. That's always fun. It's downhill for the most part with some climbs. I don't love point-to-point races get me. I think they're lovely in concept, but then when you get to like the day before the race and you're like, oh, how will I get home or how will I get there? I live in the middle of the race. So either I have to drive downtown and take a bus north, or I don't have another option, run all the way back 12 miles after the race is over, or Uber to my car at the start line. So we luckily got a friend to drive us, but point-to-point race is always like, it's just hard. I don't know logistically how to always do them. And I just want to be like, where I start, I want to finish. Or have like New York City where you have mass transportation and you just hop in a subway and you could get back to your house pretty easily, you know?
I think the only I don't race as much as you do, but I think the only race I ran that was finished in the same place it started was Chicago. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
it.
Yeah, all your New York races, like, because they all start like, well, not all, but like New York City half and Brooklyn half all start in like Prospect Park and then end nowhere near there, right?
Well, it's because Brooklyn is the largest borough that we can run through. It's just like the New York City Marathon. Majority of it is in Brooklyn. You know, if you had to pick a borough that they were taking up the most space. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think too much about it. I'm going to be frank with you.
Yeah, but like if I lived in the city, I wouldn't care because then I would just like jog to a bus and take it up. But I live in the county, so I have to drive to the city.
You would care. No, you would care. You would care. Yeah. It's annoying for sure because there are too many humans here. There are too many humans here and too many humans that are like, I'm going to be a runner now, which we want running for everyone, but not we need more races because it's becoming a lot for the people. Not it's a critique on the organizations that have this, I don't know what the word is, strong like monopoly.
Oh, you mean New York Roadrunners?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's exactly who I mean.
You can't even run their races anymore. It used to be like, oh, just sign up and you're in.
Yeah, your choice is New York Roadrunners or like, right, not getting into the lottery for a race, like, or signing up for another race. And we have some good emerging organizations coming out with races and some track clubs as well. But yeah, it's got work to do, man. We got work to do.
Yeah, races are selling out incredibly far in advance. It's getting crazy because like Philly is, for example, like the Philly Marathon sold out like 2 months ago maybe, and I 2023 I signed up like 3 weeks out maybe.
Wow.
I just decided I'm gonna run a marathon, and that's what I did. But like I couldn't do that anymore. Like Marine Corps sold out 2 months ago. Like everything is sold out like 5 months in advance. Indy's sold out. Houston's about to sell out. If you're going to do Houston, sign up. It's about to sell out. It's just crazy. And like it's gone are the days where you can like, I'll just do a race or I'll decide later. Now it's like you got to decide, some of them 12 months out, and it's not even a world major.
Yeah, that's I think why I stand by small races. Local races are the way. They were the way before, admittedly, for me, but anyway. Yeah, okay, so you ran the 12 miler.
Yeah,
Great.
it went well. I'm super happy with it. The weather was
Good.
fantastic, so that always helps.
Good.
And yeah, Marine Corps training's going well. I got a little injury this weekend, so worked through that. But otherwise, feeling
What
good.
happened? What happened?
I don't know. I have this like tightness on my foot, and
Right.
I think I got new shoes, and I think I may have tied them too tight. And I think for a run, they sort of pinched all my toes together, and it sort of caused like a pinching sensation. Because I woke up on Sunday morning, the day after wearing the new shoes, and they were like, it was like a pain every time I stepped, like on the balls of my feet, like around those nerves. And I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do a long run, but I'm gonna be more cognizant when I wear these shoes, like how I tie them. It was a new Brooks Ghost, but I have a tendency to, if a toe box is smaller, my feet are a little smaller on the front, so it can push my toes together and sort of cause some nerve issues on some of those nerves in there. The Ghost isn't a smaller toe box, so I think in this case, I just didn't loosen enough when I got it out of the box.
The Ghost 17?
Yeah.
I can't run in those shoes.
No.
Where there I I wear those. There's one day a week that I don't run. I do elliptical and I wear them on the because they don't have enough cushion for me.
Yeah, I don't
They
mind
don't
that.
feel soft at all.
I like sometimes shoes not to have a ton of cushioning, but I didn't. I think I just need to. I took them out of the box and they were probably
Okay.
just too tight. And I just had to try and loosen them up again, but I felt fine since. So it's,
Okay, good.
so I hope it was just a 1 day thing.
Yes, you made it a little dramatic by saying it was an injury.
Yeah, it was a 1 day injury caused probably by myself.
It's okay. All right. Well,
Yes. How about you, Amanda?
I'm good. Everything's good.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
complain.
great,
Good week.
great recap as always. Just full of details.
I have nothing to give. I am doing my best to
Next week I'm gonna just read recaps of your social media and like make interpretations of your week based on what you post.
I don't want you to do that. I do not want you to do that. I am certain I did there were several things in my personal life related to travel and leisure that I had been putting off booking and putting off just nice things to be able to check off the list. So
Yeah,
I was able to get that done in the last week.
awesome.
And
We're excited to hear where you're going so we can show up and say hi when you're there.
yeah, you will not know about anything until I'm home. You will know nothing. In the same way that I fake post running content.
Spoilers. The people don't know that.
I say it every week because
I know.
I have to normalize that because there are people who genuinely, and I know it's not, they're not wrong. There are people who fitness, for lack of a better word, influencers, accounts, etc., who are posting fitness and running content every day. I'm in a unique position where it is in fact my livelihood, where I do fitness for my life. But even I still do not. I do not run at least 2 days a week. And I do not exercise every day of the week. Even if you see a photo or a video of me doing so on a day, that's because social media is fake, my friends.
Yeah, I'm learning that right now. I thought it was real. So,
Well, the more you know, the less you want to know.
knowledge is power.
That's another way to say it, I suppose.
Yeah.
You have anything going on that you're feeling grievy about? Any grievances?
No, but I heard you have a grievance that's been taking the internet by storm.
Oh my gosh. I was just sharing with Coach Nick off mic that I'm getting a lot of humans following me from one rant from me sitting in. That's like, if you want to know my ideal Saturday, it's a long run and rot. And so I grab my beach chair and I sit outside on the concrete, call it Tar Beach, if you will. And I did a little long run rot and rant about run clubs really making space in New York City less fun. And there are a couple of bad apples. And I was very clear in what I shared on the internet. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can pause this and go over to the gram or the TikTok. My tea is with, I'm coming from a place of I've taught hundreds, if not definitely thousands of group fitness classes at this point. I've led run clubs before, like run groups before. So I am not a stranger to the fact that it takes a lot to lead a group and to follow the rules and to make the space around, let's say it's a run group or even a class, like we don't want other people to feel like there's bad energy coming from that group, or that we're not respecting the space. And there are a couple of run clubs in New York City, and as I've learned from the thousands of people who have commented or reached out via that video, it's all around the country. They're just making running a little less accessible, and so they're running 4, 5, 6 people across. We're not talking about in wide open prairies. We're talking about New York City on the Hudson River, in the park, on the sidewalks, where majority of people are not running. They're just trying to get around you. And there have been some aggressive conversations towards people who are trying to get by, and solo runners trying not to be, what do they call it, clotheslined
Yeah.
by a runner. And so I really feel for leaders in those clubs, because I know how hard they work. That sort of attitude, behavior, really like very, very middle school behavior, comes from the top. So what you allow persists. And so what my hope is that, and what ended up happening, I learned from my friends over at Reddit, is that apparently as a result, Bandit had a conversation with their run clubs about etiquette.
You got to. I mean, you're going to ruin your brand if this is like the world today, right? Even if it's not official, I don't know if it is or not, official run club of the brand, like if it has some association with it and it's, doing things like this, people will stop buying your stuff. Like they'll think this is the vibe of the company and I don't want their apparel, right? So you better do some cleanup.
Totally. And it wasn't, of course, that was not my intention. I think Bandit clothing actually, like, although it is, in my opinion, a little financially inaccessible, but it is what it is. Like, they're trying to sell to a certain market. I find that I've heard that their clothing is quality. I've heard that their clothing, and I mean, I love the direction that they went with their clothing when it comes to fueling, right? And all of the pockets.
Lots
And
of
I think
pockets.
I love that. I love that so much. So it is not a critique on that, but to your point, it becomes one by association. So, no, I'm not really grieving Bandit run clubs. I think that they just, let's make running fun and safe and accessible to everyone. What I am grieving is dumb assery of that boyfriend who was carrying fuel for his girlfriend running that marathon, and he ate the fuel. Are women okay? That right there, immediate grounds for dismissal.
No, that's
She
terrible.
turns to him and it's recorded. Where are my gels? Or she says something like, "Oh, I ate it." He also has a man bun, which I feel strongly about. So I don't really know like where her judgment was to begin with. I
Yeah.
digress. We're going to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that is not a thing you should do. So no, we're out on eating the other runners' fuels that you're carrying
No.
for them. That we're out on that. We're also out on run clubs who are taking up too much space on the roads. I've been in run clubs for a long time. Ran in college and high school. We learned early the etiquette of running in your cities or your areas. To cross. If someone's coming, you move. You don't wait for the pedestrian to move out of your way. Like people just, I think when new runners coming in, it's just important for run leaders to just tell people this is how we exist in this space. There will be times when we can run 3 across, but when someone's coming, then we cannot. Also have cyclists also have similar rules, and they struggle quite often because they should never ride 2 across at 25 miles per hour trying to pass runners, but they do it too. So everyone sort of needs to like exist in this space. I know you want to talk to the people around you. It's easy to still communicate to the person behind you. So the conversations can still go. Yes. Run clubs can definitely work on this.
I think it's time we dive right into the topic today.
Let's do it.
All right. So, first, we're going to talk about how running plans used to be the gospel, right? So, let's set the stage for everyone. Let's talk a little bit about some popular training plans that folks, at least we'll start in the running space, would know. We have what? Hal Higdon.
Jack Daniels has plans. So yeah, like those. Go ahead.
Did you ever use those as a runner?
I've looked up Hal Higdon's. I had enough knowledge when I started post collegiately to sort of go, okay, I can put my own workouts together. I sort of know, but like I wasn't a marathoner, so I was leaning on plans to be like, okay, well, how long should your long runs be? What are like marathon workouts? Track workouts for 3,000 steeplechase are very different. I used to be on the track 4 days a week doing sprints versus like, a marathon long run. So I was just trying to learn little things like that, but I never like followed one of these plans. But I know lots of runners always talk about Hal Higdon's, using his template, one of his advanced or intermediate levels, and like adapting it.
I followed plan. There was a book and it's missing. It's like run less, run far. So I'm missing something, but you basically run 3 days a week and that's what's going to prepare you for a marathon.
Oh, I've heard like a lot less mile. Yeah, but like more intensity, but less mileage kind of thing.
Yes. So when I first started running, I went to the library and I just went through like a ton of literature. And so I'm familiar with that. And I've read some of these other books, advanced marathoning, just like the different books that us nerdy coaches go through. So, I mean, and these plans, they have a market. They're very accessible. Just like I said, you can literally go to the library for some of them, or you can purchase them inexpensively, I believe, online. And a lot of people still use them.
They do. You can get them easily. Like you said, they build out progression. They are well documented and well scienced to like take you from point A to your race, right? With some level of improvements over time, periodization, helping you. Most of them build in down weeks, which is something a lot of runners don't do and should. Some of them are built around goals, which I always struggle with. If I want to say what doesn't work with these plans, it's like break 3 hours with my plan. It's like, no, I don't think your plan can guarantee that. Just like if I did a call with an athlete and I'm like, oh, you can definitely, run Boston your first race with me. I'm like, I can't guarantee you of that. Like even if your training is amazing, like there's so many factors and I don't want it. That is not a guarantee.
Huge red flag.
Yeah, it's not
Huge
a guarantee. So those plans that are like goal tell you can run a goal under the plan, like those are like eyebrow raising. Like I think that's where they fail, but they do a great job of progressing slightly, having some periodization, things that like AI is struggling to do at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that goes into our next point. So like these plans, they work to a point. They work for a very specific amount of time, or like somebody who is young and doesn't have a lot of other things going on in life that may stop one from needing to pivot in a plan. But even so, right? So I guess we should go a little bit into why plans like this and other cookie cutter plans, paper plans, why they don't necessarily work in the real world. The different stresses outside of training that we all experience, family and jobs, and the way that your body will respond to training, niggles that come up, right? Coach Nick was talking about his 24-hour injury. My sense is that because of your experience, not only as a runner, but as a coach who works with other humans, you're able to kind of navigate like, hey, this doesn't feel right. Instead of doing what this workout on the plan says, I'm going to take the day, let this flare up, flare down, and then pivot.
Yeah, I mean that these plans cannot do that, right? And so they require you to have some understanding of pivoting, right? And so I think to some level people can understand how to pivot off these plans. Okay, well, I'm injured. I obviously can't run. Well, not always, but like I'm injured so much, I know I can't physically run. I'm not going to run. But like, oh, I got 0 hours of sleep. I didn't drink any water today, but I'm still going to do this workout and I'm not going to move it to tomorrow. Or then more of the struggle is, oh, I have to move this workout from Wednesday to Thursday, but the plan has a Friday workout. So what do I do with that? And how do I move this around? And how do I, then we start getting into that whole,
Yep.
go ahead.
I know. I think that a big part of this has to do with the kind of person who is following the plan, because a lot of, and we know this, a lot of our runners are, whether or not they identify as type A or a follow a plan to the T kind of, a lot of them are, right? So if you have to have enough self-awareness when you are working within a structure like that to be like, it says I have a 5 mile workout. I am not, I do, there's something in my gut telling me that what I'm feeling is not right. I'm going to skip that today. Okay. And so that's part one. Are you able to have that self awareness that you know enough to know, like, this is not going to, I'm not going to gain fitness from doing this. And to your point, like, how do you structure the rest of your week, your training block when things like this come up? When you have a professional in your corner, you're able to navigate those times.
Yeah, and I find too, like sometimes runners are easy, like when they start their career, they're very easy to be flexible, or vice versa, right? But at some point, every runner sort of gets to that point where they do get a little caught up in, I don't know if I should move things around. Oh, I'm really serious about my goals now. Like that life stress shouldn't affect me, or that family or work shouldn't affect me. I think everyone sort of gets that way at some point, and like they get themselves out of it, but like they do struggle, and like that's where these plans really fail, is because like you said, once you start adapting, how far are you willing to go? Will you, okay, well, I've moved this workout, I have a long run workout, I'll skip that. No, I'll get that in. Now I'm trying to fit this other thing. Like when will you say, okay, enough's enough, I'm going to stop, this workout's not happening? Like as a coach, it's very easy for me to be like, you didn't do your workout on Wednesday, now we have a long run workout, you only can do it on Friday. Yeah, we're not going to do it. Skip that. The long run workout's more important, right? So that's the stuff that is hard with these training plans, but also hard with just runners who are constantly worried they're not doing enough and not wanting to modify the plan, because especially if the plan says, oh, you can run a certain time or do this, then you're less willing to give up anything, because you think, if I miss one workout, I've lost the plot.
It ain't true. You're right where you need to be. So I think that takes us into, are there any other things that have come up when you're training clients that you're like, yeah, this is, I'm, as a coach, you're like, I'm glad I'm having a conversation through this versus them just running with whatever's on the plan?
Yeah. So For me, the biggest stressors that I always want athletes to communicate with me is like moving or like a wedding, right? Like, and they always think, oh, I'll just, my wedding, like people getting married, or it's like my wedding party is runners too. So we're all going to wake up wedding morning and go do our long run. I'm like, no, I mean, maybe you are, but like that sounds like, if you're the groom, it sounds like a terrible way to get your, bride to be mad at you. And if you're the bride, you have a little more leeway. But like, also, like, there's so much to do. This seems stressful. Like, let's not do this. And moving, the same thing. People are like, oh, I'm just going to move. I'll keep my schedule the same. Like, that's so stressful. Like, unless you just have movers do everything and your whole family sets everything up for you and you just go for a long run, like, it's a stressful time. Even if it's a short move, like, those are the things I really want athletes to communicate. Even vacations too, where they're like with their families and they're like, oh, we've
Sure.
been playing this for 6 months. And my I'm gonna go out every day and do my long run workout. I'm like, but don't you, like, doesn't your family want to spend time with you and do these things? Like, we can adapt the plan this week. It's okay. You also paid for this vacation. Unless it's just a trip to get runs in. Uh, like, maybe enjoy it too, because you'll regret it later that you spent all this money so you could, hang out in the gym on the treadmill.
I echo those two. The move, the wedding, the travel. And one that comes up a lot with my athletes, maybe it just lends itself to the kind of people I work with. Yard work or like outdoor work. I have a handful of women who are either nearing retirement or like partially retired who work with me, and yard work and like, do they not? Yeah. I'm like, they're telling me about why certain thing they're feeling certain way. I'm like, well, I said, what did you do yesterday? Oh, I spent 4 hours. What? What? You cannot, you're not strength training today. That's what were you thinking? What were you thinking doing yard work for 4 hours
Shoveling giant
after
rocks
your
and moving.
14-mile
Yeah.
long run? Like, what were you thinking, man?
Nope.
What were you thinking? And when did you and let's look at like
Did you eat? Did you
how
drink
yeah,
water?
right.
Or are you just doing yard work and not wanting to stop because you want it over with? Because that's what I used
I'm
to do.
like, what is going on? So I'll put that under like miscellaneous manual labor, like housework. I'm like, it's work. Like, think about how much time you're on your feet. Crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are the things that come up there. And of course, like, I think that my rule of thumb when it comes to illness is take an extra day, a day past, like the day that you're like, I'm starting to feel better. No, we're going to take one more day.
One more day. Same thing with injuries. One more day.
One more day.
But yeah, rocking on to our next point.
Yep.
What adaptability really looks like. I think there's this idea of like adaptive coaching versus reactive coaching.
Mm.
And I don't think this is done a lot. I think it's hard to do. I think it's hard for runners to do, but we wanted to talk about it a little because it's interesting. I think some of the things you do, as a coach is like daily check-ins, right? Stress markers, RPE, use athlete feedback loops. I talk about my weekly check-in on a Sunday. That's stuff that happens afterwards, right? So we're getting feedback after something's already happened. And yes, feedback is better than nothing, right? Like, if we didn't know any of this stuff, they would just keep trugging along until they broke. So like being able to know, oh, your stress was a 10 this week and your sleep was a 0 and your nutrition was a 0, I should adapt your training, instead of like finding out 3 weeks later that, oh, well, I haven't been eating for the last month because I've been stressed from this. That's too late, right? So there's levels of reactive, but all those still are very reactive, right? And so, there's frameworks you can put in. There's adaptable, flexible structuring, right? And so that's a way that sometimes coaching is done. And this is the adaptability we're trying to talk about with training plans. But it's sort of just this providing a flexible structure and architecture for training, right? So like a direction rather than a rigid blueprint. It focuses on goals rather than unchangeable workouts, right? So it's really putting the kind of the in the hands of the athlete, right? Here's what we can be doing this week, but here's some ranges, and here's how you can adapt yourself based on how you're feeling and doing before it happens, right? Like, a good example is a light, easy example is, okay, today's workout is 4 to 6 by mile, right? And if I can't be there in person, hey, if you're at the fourth one, if you feel like you've gone too far, you're really struggling, stop, right? If your time starts dropping by 20 or 30 seconds, stop, right? We're not progressing anymore, we're getting worse. If you're feeling great, push to 6, right? And that's okay. You have felt in that moment that you can get to 6. And, my rule is always when you finish, feel like you can do a new rep. So, you can do one more and you're done. But giving some sort of framework, oh, okay, today's run is 60 to 90 minutes. You choose, like, based on how you're feeling, right? Sort of providing this like scaffolding can just give like hands, it puts the power into the hand of the athlete to make the decision in the moment, but also you're giving framework and blueprints to the athlete to say, here's where the range is, but you're going to have to decide in the moment. Because like, unlike, a in-person coaching event where I can watch you and see your form go down over the last splits, or like see your times go up and tell you to stop, I need you to know when to stop.
Dependent, right? There are some athletes I work with where this scaffolding works a little bit better, and others where I'm like, you're really teetering on the high end of the scaffolding a lot. And so I'm gonna have to make that range even smaller or get specific with you, like this is it. You're out for an hour. That's it.
Yeah.
So it really is person, just like anything with coaching, right? It is customized. And it's also what I've found in having conversations with athletes. And it's not to throw shade, but I think it's something to be mindful of if you are working with a professional who provides you with several weeks of training in advance and it doesn't change. I've had people I work with who say like, "Oh, I see that you're only sharing X amount of weeks or X amount of days at a time of training. You don't want to give me the whole like 4 or 6 weeks." I'm like, "What? Do you know how much is what? Do you know how much is going to change and should change in that time? No, I'm not giving you that. That would create more work for
Everyone.
me, you, forget about it. But I think that exists, right? And I think that this is a separate conversation, but that's somebody who is selling themselves as a personal trainer or a personal run coach, but really just selling a cookie cutter plan. So
Yeah.
that's a
No, that's
separate, but
separate. And, I
yeah.
think like the general idea around this adaptability is A, it's not code for being lazy. It's literally your athlete's edge, right? And sometimes putting the power, like I have athletes who, if an athlete ever came to me and like, oh, I did this workout today, but I modified it because I was just feeling taxed. I'm like, go you, like, awesome.
Yes.
Like, I want you to have that power. If every single workout comes that way, I wouldn't even look at it in negative to you. I'd be like, okay, I'm probably pushing too hard. Thanks for all this feedback. I will adapt, right? And though runners are tough, right? Most runners will do the amount of work needed. I don't ever look at it like, oh, they're just being lazy. How do I give them more? I'm like, I want your feedback. And if your feedback is like 5 was perfect and 7 was too much, okay, that's great feedback. Or if you even adapted and changed from like, and say it's 7 by mile and the last 2 you did, instead of doing the last mile split, you did 2 by 800 and gave yourself a little rest. That's adaptability. We love it. The workouts are not unchangeable, right? And this is your edge because really, at the end of the day, you have to go run a race, right? Not the coach, not the training plan, you, the person. And so the more you learn about yourself and what you're capable of in training and able to make smart decisions in training, you will then make those smart decisions on race day. You won't go too hard too early. You won't push at mile 13 of your marathon because you got through halfway and you're like, let's go. And I'm like, no, it's 13 miles left. But like, it's easy to get carried away sometimes when you have this knowledge of what your body's capable through training and you're really in tune with it. You can make those decisions. Athletes always say, well, I'm not really in tune with my training. I'm like, well, have you ever been empowered to get there on your own training? Are you just following as gospel, as scripture, the training in log and just saying, I have to do this because it's written down, right? You're not learning.
You start to grow in your confidence too. I think I see this in runners, and you spoke really well to that. I also see this in folks, my personal training clients. I find that in strength training, it can be the opposite. That I shouldn't say the opposite, but if I am working with somebody one on one and they previously were working solo, for example, the load that we are using in session, their body was ready to handle. Their mind was not like confidently there. Their mind was like, I didn't know that I can do a 50-pound bench press. And it's like, well, yes, your body has adapted to that. Your body can handle that. Your confidence around that is a different conversation. And so our role as coaches is also to support you in support you and empower you in the way that Nick says to show you what you're capable of, right? And I think that kind of goes into what was the next data point that I wanted to focus on. I lost my place in the Google Doc. That's right, guys. We have a secret Google Doc. That's how
Do.
we do. I blacked out. You go ahead, Coach Nick.
Yeah, and
I'll
so
be
next
back in a
point is
second.
sort of how coaches can balance structure and flexibility. I
Yes.
think at always coaches should have some principles that they
Yes.
talk about their athlete up front. One of mine I said earlier, like, hey, when you finish a workout, you should be able to do one more rep. That's an effort gauge for you always. I don't care about RVE. I don't care about anything else. I care about you're not laying on the ground unconscious unless the workout specifically says go to the well. That's the term I use. But like, and I might
Mm-hmm.
have one of those sometimes in there, but like usually I don't. Usually I want you to say, oh, I can do no rep. I don't have to. That's a principle, but workouts can shift, right? And so I think there's also ways to build in pivot plans, right? You know, we'll just kind of explain those a little bit, but it's sort of like built around illness, fatigue, mental burnout, and it helps, you know, have guidelines in place for your athlete to adjust, like
Mm-hmm.
replace if you feel like sometimes in the log you might put replace workout with this kind of cross training if you feel dead, or you know, change this workout from this, or do like we said earlier, have a number of reps and sort of give ranges there on how you're feeling, right? But instead of having it being workouts are sort of more to rhythm based versus outcome based, right? Like instead of being the outcome is the what we're trying to get out of this, it's like, hey, I want to make you get in a good rhythm, do some good work, and still progress forward. And that's okay. That's the adaptability sometimes that pushes us in the right direction, because sometimes a great workout is like 60 minutes of moderate in the middle of a long run. You know, it's not marathon pace, it's not half marathon pace, all the sexy numbers, but it's,
We get a
you know,
little divorce from the metrics is very helpful.
but it's a little quicker than easy day pace, and you feel great and you end that run and you're like, oh, I just did 60 minutes at a nice clip. That's okay. And that's the adaptability of like, okay, well, that's a rhythm based. I got in a good rhythm and I went with it versus like the outcome said to do 2 by 3 miles at marathon pace, which is exactly 8:27 and 13 tenths. So like it is having these plans in place with your athletes too, so they know how to pivot, because in the moment, you know, either they're going to call you in the middle of a workout, which, you know, I don't think coaches always want that kind of ability to be that constantly, you know, talked to. Instead, they'll have a plan and they'll know, okay, here's the principles I know. Here's how I'm feeling. I know I can pivot. I know I can replace this workout. I know I can skip it. I know I can just go ride the bike for 45 minutes. I know I can do 4 reps instead of 8. I have these things already lined up. This is adaptability, and the flexibility is already built into the plan with the athlete.
And you're not failing by doing it. You're doing the opposite. Like you're it's a strategy for you to stay in the game and to continue to gain fitness. It is not you taking the easy way out. It is not a regression.
Yeah, and I think like if you're as a coach, if you're building that in, if you're building those principles in, that flexibility in, an athlete will look less negatively about not doing the workout
Yes.
completely, because you've already talked about it and they already know that you'll support them, versus, oh my God, I only did 7. I was supposed to do 8 and you're going to be mad at me. Like, no, I'm not. But the fact that they feel that way in that moment means in that moment they feel like they're failing. They're going to carry
Mm-hmm.
on until I talk to them. And then when I tell them they're fine, they're going to feel a little better. But we've had this period where they didn't. When flexibility and adaptability and the principles are built in early, the athlete would finish that and go, I did what I could today. I'm proud of it. That's great work. I worked hard. On to the next.
Yes.
And so,
Absolutely.
and yeah, and like having those communication loops, right? Like weekly communication, encouraging the tweaking, encouraging running intelligently versus like just following the plan.
Blindly. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. And so there's a point here that I think just sums up what you said. Is your spreadsheet or is your plan coaching you, or are you and taking ownership in the work that you are being quote unquote assigned is going to provide you with an experience that is more, for lack of a better word, holistic.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm going to start to get into the final portion of our topic today. So, who still needs a plan? People who are just starting out, right? Who are they need guidance, they need support. No one is expecting you to know what you're doing. When it comes to something like, I have this conversation often with folks who first hire coaches who are just getting into running. They're like, I feel like they'll actually say one of two things. I feel like I need a coach and I don't know what I'm doing. And they feel some like shame around that. Or it's a runner who has kind of just like went out and just randomly like, 3 days a week I run like 3 to 8 miles. And then they just are doing that until they die, which is fine. But they don't have any direction. They're kind of what I like to say, they're flailing around. But anyone and everyone can benefit from a progressive plan and some sort of support to help them through that.
Yeah, I mean, athletes who don't have great internal pacing, that's something that's learned from plans, learned with coaching, right? I think it's very hard at the beginning just to have pacing, right? Like it took me many years, and now I'm pretty accurate. Like if I run an easy pace, I could be like within like 5 seconds of, oh, okay, this is what I'm running. But I've run 20, 70, 80,000 miles at this point in my life. I don't even know. It's so many. But like, sometimes like plans are good for like if you have like a one-time race, like an Ironman or something, you're like, I just want to do an Ironman. Like, yeah, a plan could be helpful for that. And maybe it doesn't need a ton of it still needs some flexibility and adaptability because of life, but like, plans still exist. I don't think plans are dead. I think their role is evolving. And I think like it's not like we can find things you can get delivered, these templates, and they're great, but like having some adaptability or having some support with them is super helpful too, right? That's what's missing a lot of times with AI plans or templates or some of these older plans is someone here to sort of be able to support with it and help you be flexible because they don't have any of that built in. They're not telling you, okay, if it says do 10 hill repeats, it just says do 10. And all you can think of is I either need to adapt because I think I do, or I don't know why. It's not built into the plan. So the failure is on the athlete, not in the plan, right? You bought the plan, you bought the template, you bought the AI. I need to listen. If I can't do what it tells me, I'm failing because there isn't that adaptability or flexibility built in from these things.
And that feels very lonely, in my opinion. That's a really lonely place to be. The other kind of, so we got beginners, runners without internal pacing or who need support in that. And we also have folks who really just do well with structure. And they're somebody who they're the ones who sync their final surge or their training piece to their Google Calendar. They're the ones who print out their workouts and they put it next to their desk. They're the ones who tend to, I know for myself and Coach Nick, we've had athletes for the duration of our careers, and I think it's those athletes too. They'll come in, races will come and go, but they stay wanting to have that structure.
The relationship. I was telling
Yes.
someone recently, like I've worked with an athlete almost 6 years now, and when we started, she was single, and then she got married, then she had a kid, then she had a second kid. She's changed jobs, they've moved, like been here for 6 years through all that. Like that relationship is like a big deal, and like when a coach is invested enough to acknowledge these things and see these things going on, like it makes something interesting. And so, um,
Huge.
it's huge. Yeah. So one of the key points was like, is adaptability a skill runners can be taught? Absolutely. I mean, I think it's the skill is taught by the person in charge, the coach, the person they look to towards, whether it's the plan or something, giving them ability, giving them like permission to be flexible, right? Like if you're stuck in a rigid plan, if you're stuck with a rigid person who tells you like if you don't do this workout, you'll never reach your goals, which there's people out there who believe that the plan they give you has to be met. That's it's like squashing your ability to be adaptable, right? And it's really putting you in behind the eight ball of like, can I adapt? I can't, because the plan is written the way it is, and if I don't follow this plan, then I won't reach my goals. And so coaches, these plans need to be able to be built with adaptability in mind so the skill can be taught to runners, right? Because like I said earlier, you could be a flexible runner, but there's a point when you come in your career where all of a sudden you're now getting more serious and now you're less willing to be flexible because you think, oh, I can't do that now. I used to do that, but I need to have bigger goals.
Yeah, it can become very paralyzing for a runner. I think it's just on my end as a coach, one of the phrases that I say very often, I say many things very often, which is I'm honestly shocked that some people still work with me because they're like, you just say the same thing over and over again. But it's not that deep. And at the end of the day, the goal is always each person who works with me and each one of you listening, the goal is always for you to train and run and move as well as you can for as long as you can. And when you come back to that, you find that you can let go of the rigidity a bit more and you look at it as this framework for you to play within. So that is kind of my final shtick there. You
I
have
love it.
anything? Yeah, I think whether you're following a plan or you're flexing as you go. You got to remember fitness isn't built by what you wrote on paper or what your coach wrote on paper. It's built by what you actually do.
And what you don't do when your body needs rest. So long live adaptability, right? I think that's what we're trying to get out of this episode the most. I hope people will see this and not think that we're saying training plans or templates or whatever is dead, but like being flexible and being adaptable and having some of these principles and even these plans in place for athletes is only going to help so much more in these days, and it is should be a pinnacle part of training plans.
Could not agree more. I think we done did it, Coach Nick.
We did.
Thank you everyone for joining us. A couple of things here. If you have not done so already, will you give us 5 stars over on Apple and Spotify? And if you want to give less, you can get out. You can leave now. You can leave now. I mean, I'm shocked that you listened to us this long, frankly. But in any event, we're happy to have you here. Please give us that 5 star review. You can head over to YouTube and subscribe to us. You can look at us on your big screen or your small screen. We are in the middle of race season, and so you need that fuel. You can support the podcast by shopping at Crank Sports, one of our favorite fueling sports nutrition companies. You can use B2C at checkout. That will save you some money and you support the pod. We have a Patreon that we do our best to fill up with content. We're working on that. Send us a note if there's anything that you want us to chat about on there. Our subscribers specifically, let us know. Anything else, Coach Nick?
No, you got it.
Got it. Got it. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode, everyone. And please reach out to us at any time over on the gram or at betweentwocoaches@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.